here from the Française des Jeux. Looks to me very much like Frédéric Guédon, the man who this year won Paris-Roubaix.
Guédon was the surprise winner of Paris-Roubaix, but now he's a marked man. And this is the only way you're going to beat the sprinters. Every time the leaders are caught, you've got to counter the move and go again, because you'll disrupt the rhythm of the sprinters and the domestiques trying to bring the sprinter to the line.
Well, Guédon's got the gap at the moment. They are starting to hesitate a little bit. Somebody's trying to come across. It looks very much like one of the Festina riders.
So Guédon is about to go into the tunnel. When he comes out of it, he'll only have the Rue de Rivoli and then across the Place to the line. He's surprised in a big way when he won Paris-Roubaix, the best single-day race in the world, and it will be an equal surprise now if he wins this. But it looks as though Laurent Brochard is after him.
Well, if it was going to be a Festina rider, it would have to be Laurent Brochard, but not very far behind then. There were the pink jerseys of Telecom. Very close to the front, the green jersey of the points competition leader. Eric Zabel was already present and looking for his win here, but Guédon, as they come out of the tunnel onto the Rue de Rivoli for the last time, still has a slight lead.
And it's still Giovanni Lombardi trying to reach him now, and Guédon just took a big deep breath there. He is totally committed now down the Rue de Rivoli, and you know, Paul, he may have the gap.
Well, he's still got a very good gap. That's hovering around about 100 meters. He doesn't seem to be slowing at all. The chase behind is only being done by one man, so it's one Telecom man against the Française des Jeux rider who's going under the red kite now. 1 kilometer remaining for Frédéric Guédon.
Well, this has been such a newsworthy Tour de France this year that this would be a fitting end. A man we would never have accepted as a winner of a stage of the Tour is clear, but now they're coming right onto him. The Rabobanks get to him first. The Cofidis team, Frankie Andreu is there as well, I think.
Looks very much like Frankie Andreu. He's finished second here before. He knows this sprint very well indeed. Cofidis in second position with Andreu, but all of the top sprinters of this year's Tour de France on the front. Frankie, I think, now leading it out a little bit too soon. All he can think about now is going as fast as he can and heading up towards the finish.
Well, Frankie was in this position a couple of years ago, and the champion of France, Eddie Seigneur, was the man that took the pleasure away from him. Frankie finished second. The whole field are there this time as they now swing up towards the line. It's going to be a head-on shot here now, but watch for the green jersey. He's lining up in the centre of the field here now as they take it on. This is going to be a long dash to the line. Max Chiandri is having a go, but I think we're going to find this George Hincapie on the right. It's going to be a very tight finish indeed. Nicola Manali is coming, and he's got it on the line. That was an incredible finish for Nicola Manali. He's come from nowhere. He's got the stage win. He was our close finish expert, you may recall, in the first week of the Tour. Well, that didn't go to the photograph. He won fair and square. Well, just look at the speed of Nicola Manali on the right of our picture here, coming through on the dangerous side between the barriers, staying well clear of the rest of the race, and I don't think the judges can criticise this one. As Zabel too, the team did what they could for him, but he didn't have any answer to this speed today.
Phil, consider the fact that after 2,500 miles, it is still a tour of inches. Eric Zabel on your right, Nicola Manali on your left. Remember the stage 4 back in Le Puy du Fou on July 9th when Manali did the same thing to Frédéric Moncusson. A little bit closer, though, by 4 millimeters. His second stage win of the night.
Right behind him was Magnus Backstedt. Then it was Stuart O'Grady. But on O'Grady's wheel was the national champion of the US, George Hincapie. He knows a good wheel to follow when it comes to a final sprint here. There was the move by Wilfred Peters. He's done his job. He's kept it high. He's turned it over now to Andrea Taffy. But the big line of the GAN riders, as we go under 1 kilometer to go, they're ready to set it up for O'Grady.
A lot of riders dropping back now as the pace has got a little bit too hot. There's a bit of deja vu here. Hincapie, O'Grady, like the first week of the Tour when they were fighting out for the first prize, the yellow jersey. But now it is coming up to the big sprint, and the Telecom have got the wheel. A switch out of it there. Taffy is gone now as we race across. Magnus Backstedt on the far right is trying to get in. And where's Stuart O'Grady? Because Tom Steels is also tucked in now. There's O'Grady goes through right on the wheel of Magnus Backstedt. This could be a surprise, but Tom Steels has got the perfect lead out for the corner now. They're going to get squashed out of it as they turn sharp right now. It is going to be a race for the line now, and can Tom Steels... No, it looks as though Stuart O'Grady might well finish this one off now. And it's Backstedt, in fact. It's Backstedt still on the front here now as Steels tries to move to the right. He's got Hincapie, O'Grady on his wheel. Steels on the far right. It looks as though Zabel is out of this one now as Tom Steels makes it win number 4 in the Tour de France for the champion of Belgium. I made George Hincapie over the line there in, I think, 4th or 3rd, and O'Grady was 3rd or 4th. So O'Grady will get 2nd place in the green jersey competition. Watch this now. This has been a magical tour for the champion of Belgium as he moves in for his third stage win of this year's Tour de France. Disqualified last year when he was so frustrated he threw his bottle at a rider in a sprint finish. And O'Grady gets third, Hincapie gets fourth. Great result for them all.
In fact, that is Steele's fourth stage win in this year's Tour de France, in the finish that all the riders want to win. They call it the most beautiful finish in the world.
Under the kilometre banner, an attack now comes from Festina, trying to surprise it for these riders, and it looks to me as if the Festina rider may have hit them just at the right time.
Well, you know, I'm just wondering if it's Laurent Brochard who's launching an attack there, because he certainly opened a gap. Inside 1 kilometre to go now, and the Festina rider is trying desperately to slip the field here, but here come the Telecom boys, and they are coming across the Place de la Concorde so quick now. They are taking Zabel in third place. Somebody's gone over the top as again the riders blocked him off there, and now as they come behind the car, which is unfortunate, but here we go now. It's Lars Mikkelsen who tried to do it. The Telecom rider is still making the pace here, Stefan Weissman. Now Mikkelsen going, but Zabel is coming on the right now. Challenging him is Robbie McEwen. Steers left this a long way. Steers has sat up. Robbie McEwen is going to get it. Robbie McEwen has done it at last. He's got his stage win in the Tour de France. The little Australian has done it on the very last day. He has won the final stage of the Tour de France. He will be absolutely delighted, but the overall winner of the Tour de France is the American Lance Armstrong, and he has been, without doubt, the finest rider in this race over the full distance of 3 weeks and 1 day.
Robbie McEwen gets his first ever stage victory in what has become the fastest.
When he's tried for so long to get them. Well, this is the breakaway. Voigt riding on this last day as aggressively as he has done ever since the race started. But now it looks as though this attack is not going to work. Good show by David Miller too. Shows to us all that this man does have a great future as a Tour rider.
Well, he started off with the yellow jersey, wore it for 3 days, and I have to admit, Phil, I did think he was going to walk away from the Tour after a very dramatic crash on the stage of the Mont Ventoux, but now he's back in the pack and he is going to race on the Champs-Élysées, and that is after 3 weeks of bike racing. The Bonjour team trying to move forward now to organise a sprint there. That's Francois Simon very close to the front, but watch out for the green jersey. There he is, Eric Zabel in around about 7th position.
Down past the Rue de Tuileries, heading now towards the Place de la Concorde. A massive crowd here, been well entertained by the riders in the streets of Paris now for 3 hours or so. The Bonjour team has tried and tried and tried to get a stage win. So far, none. Perhaps it'll all change right now. But watch out for the Farm Freaks team. They're trying to get Robbie McEwen up here.
Well, Robbie McEwen's the man who got the stage victory last year here on the Champs-Élysées. He was second yesterday, and morale must certainly be very high. The Banesto riders are moving up on the left-hand side there, and everybody now wants a last crack at the sprint here in the Champs-Élysées. This is a great place to win a bike race, Phil. It has to be the most beautiful finish in the world. There's a few arms and legs coming off the bike there. That was Magnus Baxter. It looks to me as if he was getting a sling off Jens Voigt. The green jersey of Zabel still in the front.
So this is the turn right now. It's a long way up to the line. In fact, you can't afford to go too quickly. Max van Heeswijk, the Mappe boy, bringing through Fred Rodriguez. Rodriguez in front of Stefano Zanini. They are the 3 men, and then they've got the green jersey who's gritting his teeth there to Zabel. And now Zanini comes over to the right here. Max slows it down, and Zanini is coming up to the line, and it looks as though Zabel is too late on the line. Stefano Zanini ahead of Eric Zabel and Roman Weinsteins. The Tour is over, and the winner is Lance Armstrong.
What a great ride by Armstrong. He didn't have to worry too much about the sprint on the final day, but Phil, that was a very good manoeuvre by the Mappe squad. They had it all sorted out. There's Freddie Rodriguez, Max van Heeswijk. The 3 of them were 1st, 4th and 5th. But this man has dreamed about winning on the Champs-Élysées for a couple of years now. He finished 2nd behind his own teammates Tom Steels when Steels took out the final stage victory here, and this is what he wanted. He's got to say thanks to the team.
Man, look at the faces on the sprinters here. Weinstein's close, but never quite close enough throughout this Tour on the flat stages. I've lost count of his 3rds, 4ths and 5ths. This man, though, has got a win now, winning ahead of Eric Zabel, Roman Weinsteins. Freddie Rodriguez also had a marvellous Tour de France. Max van Heeswijk in his first Tour too, up there in 5th today. They'll all be pretty happy with the result. Now they can all go out and have a good night out. Baldato, Alexander Vinokurov. Vinokurov is going to launch a little attack here now, and he's quickly followed by Geert Verheyen. Then comes the Nico Matan, Gilles Bougard, Mario Hertz, are all onto the wheel. The last one to react is Boubois. He wasn't really expecting the move there by Vinokurov. Vinokurov has no interest in the green jersey, and of course he's keeping this breakaway moving because Zabel is now in the driving seat in that competition. Matana's gone now, and this is the rider who could surprise, but look at the panic behind. The field are almost onto them, and it is Stuart O'Grady's Teddy Agripol team who is trying to shut this race down. Then it will go 1-on-1. O'Grady versus Zabel.
Nico Matin not happy at all there by the work being done by Florent Grant. He was nailing him back slowly but surely, and that is not a good sign for the breakaways. Still, once they start to attack one at a time like that, they lose the momentum. When every rider in a 7-man break works at the front, you can keep your pace high above 30 miles an hour. But when you start to attack alternatively, the average speed drops down to 27 or 28. While in the meantime, on the front of the main field, there are still 3 or 4 teams working very hard to try and bull these 7 men back before the finish. 11 seconds is the time gap now. It's coming down slowly, and it may well come all together in the Rue de Rivoli right at the end.
Well, this year there's never been a boring day of racing on the Tour de France, and it's going out on a big high here in a summer's day in Paris. Armstrong is watching from the stalls now because he's done all of his racing before this day. He has all the time in the bank he needs to win the Tour for the 3rd time, but this man wants to win the stage. Nico Matin has taken a flyer down the far side of the road. I would suggest right now he's probably doing 60 kilometers an hour.
He's a huge, powerful bike rider. As an amateur, he was the champion of Belgium in the time trial. He won a time trial this year in the 3 days of La Panne, and he's caught the others hopping. The man chasing him down is Alexander Vinokurov, and he's trying to nail back the back wheel of the Belgian right now. But the main field, there they are. It's less than 10 seconds by my calculations. Baldato is looking over his shoulder, and he can see the whole of the main field in the Tour de France trailing down upon him right now. Huge work on the front by the former yellow jersey wearer, Francois Simon. They're going to pull it all back together in the final kilometres.
Or are they? I'm not so sure, you know, if they can get across the Place de la Concorde. The sprinters may be denied this. They may only get on in sight of the line. But as the leaders go through now, the main field are still a gap. I'll start the watch as they go past our comedy position. You can see the gap for yourself anyway. The field has gone through, Paul, 6 seconds back.
Going to be less than that right now. You can see the group is attacking. Vinokurov in the pink jersey is trying for the lone lead right now. He is feeling very strong indeed. He's opened up a gap. In fact, that group is going to be caught as we speak. They're still trying to launch counterattacks off the front of it. Nico Matin countering now to try and see if he can just pull back Alexander Vinokurov onto the Place de la Concorde. Next time they come onto the Place de la Concorde, it will be for the last time this year, and that will be setting it up for the big sprinters. Alexander Vinokurov is the sort of rider who could stay off the front of the main field right now, and they're all out for this finish now, Phil. This is when you have to take the risks, and you have to stay in the first 5 or 6 places.
One man survives of the 23 who went out on the attack, and it looks like Alexander Vinokurov is trying desperately now to score for Zabel and Jan Ullrich's Telecom team, because he'd take away the 35 points, which really Stuart O'Grady wants desperately, and that is why we're seeing Jens Voigt drive the race on for O'Grady. Look at Vinokurov here.
Well, right on Jens Voigt's wheel there was the man himself in 2nd place in the overall standings, Jan Ullrich. He will try and cause a bit of disorganisation at the front end of the main field. This man now, Phil, has got around about 2.5 kilometres to go to the finish, but there's a huge counter-attack coming up behind him. He's doing everything to try and keep his pace high, but Laurent Brochard of France is coming across the gap right now. Big man Aubervilliers got a man on the front, and this is the moment to attack if you're strong. Brochard is looking for revenge. He wants to prove that he's a great former world champion, and he will very shortly come onto the tail of Vinokurov, but I think it will be a bunch sprint, Phil.
Into the tunnel they go. Who is going to come out at the head of the group? Vinokurov, Brochard, or the whole peloton? It's going to be Alexander. Laurent is chasing him. The big man boys are trying to pull Christophe Capel in for the spin. They are running out of time so quickly now down the Rue de Rivoli. The last time the Tour de France coming to an end, and in the yellow jersey, Lance Armstrong can watch it all, content in the fact he will be the winner whatever happens.
Well, the one important thing now, if I was a tactician, I could speak to Stuart O'Grady, I would say, Stuart, don't base your sprint on Zabels. You have to sprint for the win here, because if you can win this race, you will take out the green jerseys. Brochard is inside the kilometre mark now, Phil. 1,000 metres to go, and it's the whole of the main field together. Brochard's last attack now has been caught on the front of the main field. It looks like Eric Decker, but he knows now he's not going to get clear. Francis de Jure are taking up the pace, making Stuart O'Grady is in about 8th place at the moment.
You can see it from the helicopter just at the bottom of our screen. I no need to tell you which wheel he's following, because the man in the pink is Eric Zabel. He should own the green by 4 points, but they're going to take each other on one-on-one. And in fact, O'Grady must get over the top of Eric Zabel right now. He knows it too. As Francis de Jure bring them into the home straight now. Jans Verade in the big danger there. In 3rd place, 5th wheel is Zabel. Now comes the rush for the line. It looks as though, in fact, Bettini having a little dig as well. But now Jans Verade is going to try and clear up for the Czech Republic at that rate. This could be the win, at least for the Italian team. Zabel gritting his teeth as he comes up to it. O'Grady is out of it. And Jans Verade gets it. Eric Zabel looks over his shoulder as he's done for the last 3 days. But this time he has won the green jersey. The yellow jersey is owned by only one man, as it has been for the last 8 days. And the winner of the Tour de France is indeed Lance Armstrong. He didn't even give us away, but he's over the line safe.
Well, all he had to do was cross the line safely in that main field, but what a battle that was for Stuart O'Grady. I feel a bit sorry for O'Grady right now, Phil, because he was absolutely perfect throughout this Tour de France. The big man, Jans Verade, gets the win there. He even has time to look over all of his rivals, knowing that he got the jump first in the sprint to the line right now. And there he even has time to salute. And what a remarkable win for him, making it his 3rd stage victory. The last time he won was in Cork. That was back in 1998.
And that, in case you didn't know, is in Ireland, where the Tour de France started in that year from Dublin. So Jans Verade is back. They took a risk putting him in the team. They weren't sure he had the form. Well, they know now. He's not an Italian. He comes from the Czech Republic, but they'll probably count it. He rides for an Italian team. He certainly found a clean pair of wheels there as he ran away to the finishing line. Eric Zabel also riding once more superbly, clearly the better sprinter than Stuart O'Grady, but that is going to be remembered by many with fond memories as a great competition this year. And O'Grady marginally getting 3rd, I think. And there you are, O'Grady and Zabel. They have fought head-to-head, day after day, and they're still the best of mates.
What a great battle, absolutely fantastic. He never laid down arms at all, Eric Zabel, as we look at a huge crowd on the summit of the Eiffel Tower, witnessing what has been a magnificent day here once again, Phil.
On the green jersey and his location, he has got not much on his side, just a 3-point lead. We're looking here at the Frenchman, Cedric Vasseur, who's now fallen into 2nd place, as we've got another power launch here by Alessio, a team that hasn't had a lot of success. Hinted at it with Laurent Dufaux, but then Dufaux left the race. I think this is Vachier again.
It looks very much like him. He's a strong bike rider. Don't give him 15 or 20 metres over the main field, because you've got to pull it all back together. Team Telecom have disappeared off the front. It's the French team, Francis de Jure, right now. They've got an excellent sprinter, Baden Cook, an Australian. There's another Australian in the green jersey moving across there right now. That is Robbie McEwen. McEwen will be looking for the wheel of Eric Zabel. He's looked for the wheel of Eric Zabel since the very first sprints of this year's Tour de France, and he's right on it for the moment. Not far away, another Aussie, Stuart O'Grady, looking for the win as well.
It's been a great year for the 4 Australians. Every one of them distinguished themselves. Bradley McGee winning in Avranches, and that was a wonderful occasion. Injured in his crash on the Col de Soulor, and now just wants to say he has finished the Tour de France as well. He's continued in pain for nearly 2 weeks. Vachier still hanging on here to try and turn this into a magical tour for him as well. But I don't know whether the Slovenian now can do much about this, because the field is flying. There's the face of the man. There's nothing more left in those legs now, only pain. He's got to hang on for about 1 kilometre and a bit. The field are breathing down his neck. He's just 1 kilometre from the line, and here comes the charge.
He won't do it. This is the moment, which was just a little bit too far. 1 kilometre too far for Havastia. He won't even finish in the top 50. They're all over the road right now, Phil. You can see inside the last kilometre right now, there are pink jerseys at the front. The team of Eric Zabel trying to get it launched. He knows he's got to try and get across the line in front of Robbie McEwen if he's going to make it 7 in a row. Rolf Aldag is on the front right now. There is Danilo Hondo. Cool as you like, Eric Zabel is there.
Lance Armstrong has won the Tour de France under the rules. You cannot lose in the last kilometre, whatever happens. So let's watch the front now as Daniel Hondo brings on to the Champs-Élysées now. The two men fighting for green. Watch for the boy in pink off to the right, and watch also for the whereabouts of the green jersey, because in fact it's out of it. Robbie McEwen has won the green jersey. Is he going to win the stage? He's taking on Baden Cook, but on the line Robbie McEwen has gone out. The best result you could possibly hope for. He's won this stage before, but now, just as Lance Armstrong yesterday wanted to win the time trial in yellow, and there he is. Robbie McEwen has taken the green jersey in the finest possible manner, and I think he's crying.
The only way to do it, the only way he could do it. Erik Zabel lost his wheel coming into that final corner. Zabel was under serious pressure. That he knew that he had to get across the line in first place. Zabel is disappearing. He won't even make the top 10 today. The big challenge coming from Cook on the outside. But look at the face of Robbie McEwen, Phil. Absolutely unbelievable. This proves that he is the top sprinter of this year's Tour, and he's very, very worthy of the green jersey at the end of the day.
Well, the emotion hit Robbie McEwen, but what a wonderful way to take out the green jersey. When you see the final result, of course, he'll be a few points in the lead. Erik Zabel came to the line knowing that after 6 years of champion of green, he'd met his match from Queensland, Australia, because this was an inspired sprint. He didn't need to win the stage when Zabel wasn't there, but there was more to it than that. His second stage win of this year's Tour de France, and the man on his left shoulder there is going to win one probably next year, because he's had a great first Tour, Baden Cook.
Well, that was brilliant for Robbie McEwen. There was an awful lot of psychology there. It was so marvellous that it went down to the final sprint of the day. Hondo there in the middle looking over his shoulder. Erik, where are you? Erik really lost it today. He got caught up in the final line, the final corner there coming up to the line. McEwen had it. This is an unbelievable year for Robbie McEwen. He has turned out to be a superbly dominant sprinter. And this is one of the reasons why. This is now David Bramati from Quick-Step trying to take up the pace. He's looking under his shoulder. Where is his teammate? They're inside the last kilometre now of the Tour de France this year. There is Paolo Bettini moving up as well.
The champion of Italy, centre left with the green top to his jersey. The green jersey all of a sudden is right there of Robbie McEwen, about fifth wheel down. This could be a perfect approach to the line though for Erik Zabel. Baden Cook is also there too. Stuart O'Grady. Everybody is in the mix for what is going to be an incredible ride to the line. The man giving them the ride is Alexander Vinokurov. O'Grady is locked in behind Baden Cook. McEwen is locked in behind Baden Cook. Now the crucial right turn to the finish. Now McEwen has won here twice. He knows it well. Bradley McGee brings them around the corner into the home straight. He's got the lead out. Cook is on the right. McEwen is on his wheel. O'Grady goes on the left with Zabel on his wheel. Damien Lazon is coming towards us now, and Thor Hushovd is leading through. Hushovd is going. Here comes Cookie with his gritting of his teeth, and McEwen is going with him. And McEwen is coming on the right. McEwen is going to get win number 3, beaten on the line. Jean-Patrick Nazon. Jean-Patrick Nazon gets it, but I think, Paul, it will go to McEwen because he was right on the side of Cook, and I think there'll be nothing in it. It's on countback.
It is going to be on the countback. The difference between second and third is 4 points at this level, but that man Patrick Nazon came right up through the middle, and I have to tell you that we have to count back to see just exactly what position. Let's have a look from the top here. This is Nazon here who's charging up to the line. Thor Hushovd is leading the sprint out. There you've got Baden Cook coming around the outside, then all of a sudden it's Robbie McEwen. And look at this charge for the line here, right up through the middle. The pink jersey is Jean-Patrick Nazon. And you know, Phil, it's photo. We have to look at it from the side. It's going to go between Baden Cook and Robbie McEwen. If Baden Cook is second, Robbie McEwen's third, then the result of the king of the sprints is going to go to Baden Cook for 1 point.
What is the point score for second? It's 30 points.
35, 30, 26 for the first 3 men across the line.
There was a 2-point gap there. And let's not forget, by the way, in all this melee, that at the back, keeping well out of that dangerous sprint, the yellow jersey of Lance Armstrong, who has become the first American to win the Tour de France 5 times. He's so far back in this sprint we can't even see him, and that's a very wise decision, Lance. but this has gone to the end. For me, Cook crossed the line ahead of McEwen.
Side by side, locked together as they have been in nearly every sprint, and the tears coming to France. The last man to win for France here on the Champs-Élysées was Eddie Seigneur, and he in fact is a member of this team, although he didn't make the selection for the Tour de France this year. But what a great sprint by the younger of the two Nazon brothers. He timed it to perfection, and it was because of the big battle going on between Robbie McEwen and Baden Cook on the line that this man snicked up through the middle.
Well, if this is confirmed, Baden Cook will have won the green jersey by 2 points, but we'll tell you all of the answers when we come back after the break. No doubt Armstrong wins. Well, the Tour de France is over and Lance Armstrong has made it 5, but what a sprint finish we had. It was neither Baden Cook nor Robbie McEwen who got the stage. It was in fact the Frenchman Jean-Patrick Nazon, and how fitting was that in the 100th year of the Tour de France. At the finishing line, Nazon welcomed by his brother Damian. They were as happy for each other as if they'd both won the stage. The big battle, though, for the green jersey, well, in a tight finish and a little bit of leaning on one another, the green jersey on the shoulders of Robbie McEwen transfers now as a winner's jersey to the shoulders of Baden Cook. This race just had to finish like this. Cook, the green jersey winner.
Here's the man of the day. The man around that top corner, if he can, he'll lose a little bit of time. This climb here, you cannot believe it. It is interminable. There's Gilberto Simoni on the left-hand side there in the red jersey of Team Seiko. The gap as he goes round the top is 3 seconds over the main field being led by Phonak. What he has to do now is find some power to lift himself up to 60 kilometers an hour. That's the kind of speed you need to find if you're going to stay off the front end of the main field.
Well, there's no way, surely there's no way the man fabulous there. In fact, we're looking here at Juan Antonio Fletcher right now, who's going up. This is Fletcher in the lead now, and this is a surprise, but we've seen this is what happened at Angers. Our computer did switch to Cancellara, but it switched back now to Fletcher, the man who won a stage last year and has tried on at least 3 occasions to win a stage in this fashion this year.
Quick Step Davitamon have got control there. You can see on the front end of the main field, the riders trying to set this up for Tom Boonen.
Well, I must say, it's the first time we've seen Servais Knaven setting the pace for about a week and a half. He's been quite ill, but he's now on the front of that pack trying to bring Boonen back into play. But Juan Antonio Fletcher, I've never seen a Spanish rider ride like this guy can on the flat road. Spanish riders are climbers. This rider can do most things, but again the pack is running at him. It is so desperately close. He got wiped out in Angers, then we had the big crash. Out of the crash came Tom Boonen to win the stage. Now Fletcher is being caught at a similar distance from the finish, right in the centre and staying out of trouble, I hope, is Lance Armstrong. He doesn't need any of these problems now. This is the win for the last stage and everybody wants it.
Zabel is not far away. There is Stewie O'Grady too in about 8th position.
I'd like to know his heart rate now. It's probably blowing off the computer on his handlebars there. Armstrong knows that shortly he will see the kilometre go kite under international rules. Any problems after that point won't count. He will have won the Tour de France a kilometre out. He can safely come home, but there's still a lot at stake here now. Michael Rogers and Servais Knaven, 2 strong men. Rogers is going to have a great year, and I can see a gold medal for that man in Athens too. He turns into the tunnel now. We can't go in there because we've not worked out yet how to make cameras work, but they're going to come out the other side, and it is going to be one big sprint here.
It's going to be a massive sprint. This is the place of the sprinters, the Champs-Élysées, right in the heart of Paris, in the shadows of the Arc de Triomphe. Armstrong at the back there, a quick glimpse of the number 1.
Blame him.
He's out of the action at the front. He doesn't want to go down in the final kilometre. He wants to enjoy his last kilometre of the Tour de France this year. After all, he's been at the front and won 5 stages as well in the Tour. Now still Quick Step in complete control, but they seem to have lost a bit of firepower. They're waiting now for Fassa Bortolo to take over the pressure at the front end of the main field. Everybody now is grasping for the front end. It's going to be such a desperate dash for the line.
Well, there's a lot of elbows going out there now, and Baden Cook fancies his chances. He's riding in the guy in the white dead centre. Just moved off the wheel of that cruise, which he really wanted. Hondo, the second boy in that light blue colour. And watch out too now, because Hushoff and McEwen, they are the 2 that are concentrating on each other for the final green jersey of this year's Tour de France. The advantage has got to go with McEwen now. As they race towards the line, we can announce Armstrong has won his 6th Tour de France. He's inside a kilometre from the line. They now race across the Place de la Concorde for the last time. Now they line up for home. Watch for the rider in the green jersey. He has that habit of popping up out of nowhere. Robbie McEwen, there he is, has won twice here before. Tom Bonan is trying to dig in. He's on the wheel of Zabel. Zabel's on the wheel of Hondo. In the middle is Cook, and the big kick for the line now. But watch Zabel on the right. Zanini is leading on the left. Bonan is coming on the right. Here comes Hondo. Watch out for the rider in green, McEwen. And as they hit the line now, Cookie is trying very hard. It is Tom Bonan who gets it, the rider who won it, Angers. And I don't think Robbie McEwen is happy about that. Let's look down now and watch out for Lance Armstrong as he will freewheel across the line. This will be the easiest day of the 21 days of this year's Tour de France. And again, I think Lance is conceding a little bit of time. He lost 15 seconds last year when he couldn't have won the stage. McEwen has won the green jersey. There he is. What an incredible finish.
Fabulous lead out there by Stefano Zanini as well. Zanini, let's not forget, has won on the Champs-Élysées himself in the past. He just wanted to keep the pace nice and high just to make sure that Tom Boonen didn't get boxed in at any time. But once Tom Boonen there in the middle had a very clear shot at the line, he had a very convincing win ahead of Jean-Patrick Nazon. Robbie McEwen, I think, 3rd or 4th. And on the other side, you can see Stuart O'Grady and Danilo Hondo in 5th place. So McEwen will keep the green jersey. He will win the points classification for Australia for the 2nd time for him, 3rd time in the career for Australia. But the story is Lance Armstrong winning that Tour de France for the 6th time.
Cameras couldn't catch him there. They were all hovering at the front to see Bonan take out the sprint. Jean-Patrick Nazon. Looks as though O'Grady was very close to beating McEwen. It won't matter because the man who has won the green jersey is McEwen. But Lance Armstrong has set the record. 6 Tour de France victories, and not just 6, but 6 in a row. And I don't think, well, not in my commentating life, we'll ever see that again, Paul.
It is absolutely phenomenal as we look here at Tom Bonan. It's interesting to remember that Tom Bonan actually was a former teammate of Lance Armstrong and now has moved across to a different team to be the leader of his own squad. He'll never be a Tour de France winner, but certainly he'll be a prolific winner in stages like this. But we couldn't really see Lance Armstrong looking down that row of riders. He certainly didn't want to go down on the final days on the Champs-Élysées, and he left all the risk-taking to these men at the front. But what a great win there by Tom Bonan. Alexander Vinokourov.
Look at his strength. He's trying to hold off the whole field here, and we saw him do it earlier on today. As we've got another rider there from AG2R, but I'm not too sure. It doesn't look like Simon Gerrans. It's a bit too big for Simon. As we've got 2 kilometres to go, they are still clear going into the tunnel.
Hushoff up into about 5th or 6th
position,
place.
Hushoff.
He's looking good. I still couldn't see Robbie McEwen. He's such a hard man to spot, and then all of a sudden he always pops up right at the very end.
Well, they're queuing up for the tunnel now, but it's the riders in the top 20 who come out the other end. He'll be fighting out for the win. There's 3 of them now. Looks like it might be McGee who's reached them here. 3 riders going around the bend onto the Rue de Rivoli. 1 mile to go, less now, as we'll shortly see the kilometre over the head. There'll be a red kite attached to that now.
Well, that's a good gap that they've got, and all you need is a little bit of chaos to come from the sprinters, and
They
you've
could
got
do
the gap.
this. They could beat the sprinters at their own game. There's somebody dived over to the left of the picture. Francaise de Jeu has gone clear. As 1 kilometre to go to the finish now. He's sprinting with the power of Brad McGee, but I don't think it is Brad McGee. Just need to see his face a little bit. It is big grips here, and Vinokourov is on his wheel. And this is McGee, I think, going for it.
Well, they're all over the road, and the sprinters, I think, Phil, have been foxed and cheated. They're inside the kilometre. Vinokourov is right on the wheel there. They're onto the Place de la Concorde now, ducking and diving. Do not play the tactical game now, because when you get a gap like this on the sprinters, you've got to throw caution to the wind.
As we turn onto the finishing straight, it's never been seen for a few years. McGee taking on Vinokourov, and somebody trying to reach here. But that is a brilliant Brad McGee, who's had such a poor tour. He's now trying to finish it off with flying colours. He's going to have to dig deep, because right behind him is Alexander Vinokourov, and I think Cancellara trying to reach them as well. Alexander Vinokourov, on many occasions, the man of the Tour de France, is getting his 2nd stage victory, as Brad McGee will take takes second for Australia. That is an incredible win for Alexander Vinokurov.
And behind, it actually blows away the race for the green jersey. I just saw Thor Hushovd come across the line ahead of Robbie McEwen, but where is the yellow jersey? He must be there somewhere. I've just seen him. He's gone across right to the back. There he is.
Happy to freewheel home. History in the making. 7 times a winner of the Tour de France. He now retires. This man is going to rue the day they cancel the bonuses today. Because of that, he would not finish in 5th place in the Tour de France.
You know what, though? I think he would swap 5th or 6th place for a victory on the Champs-Élysées, because this is one of the most magical places in the world as a professional cyclist to win a race.
It was a long time ago that. He's 40 years of age now. Surely the speed's gone.
Well, Yaroslav Ekimov won a stage like this in the Tour de France back in 1991. He hasn't got the gap, but I think what he's trying to do is stop any confusion a little bit further back. Look at the speed, 33 miles an hour. They can't stay on the wheel of Yaroslav Ekimov. The man trying to nail them back now is Frank Schleck of Team CRC, but Hincapie is right up there.
George Hincapie has told Ekimov that he can win the stage today, and that's why Discovery are riding like this. An American will win the Tour de France now, there's no doubt about that, as they race into the tunnel. But you know, George Hincapie is looking to go out of this tour with a stage win. He led it for a day, he lost the first stage by 73 hundredths of a second, and he attacks.
He's attacking right there with Jaroslav Popovic right on his wheel. This is a long way to go. He was hoping to surprise, and maybe this is the move by Jaroslav Popovic. Hincapie's got the gap. This is good. You see, Popovic is now going to go.
That was a mistake. He's gone too soon. Enthusiasm got the better of him there. He's trying to block the move for Popovic, but he's gone too soon. Here comes the counter moves now, but it might destroy the sprinters. He's gone at 1 kilometre to go. Nobody can survive at the front for a kilometre. But what has happened, it may spoil the sprinters. That's Calzati, who's gone on the 3rd wheel.
And he's cracked it. You can see Jaroslav Popovic has switched across the road now. He's come back into the line. They're all over the road here like a snake coming into the Place de la Concorde for the final time. This has caused a little bit of consternation for the sprinters. Look at the speed. They're all over the road now trying to get themselves organised. You've got to get a good place coming into this final sweeper. It's a right-hand bend with 450 metres to go coming through the middle. They've got the move. Robbie McEwen, Phil, is right there.
McEwen is perfectly poised for this one again, and he's going to take on Eric Zabel, or is he? Zabel's got McEwen's wheel as he tries to get the lead out for the line now. McEwen is in a perfect position for win number 3 in Paris. Nobody gets across this man. Hushovd chases him hard. Robbie McEwen may have gone a little bit too soon. He tops and tails the Tour de France. Thor Hushovd, he wins stage 1, he wins in Paris, and McEwen will get the green jersey. What a finish.
Well, looking down the main field, we're looking for the yellow jersey. There it is on the far side. Win for Floyd Landis.
So as Landis crosses the line, he was congratulated by his team. McEwen was forced to lead out a little bit earlier than he thought here, but Thor Hushovd, the man who lost his chance in the opening week of retaining the green jersey, comes by with a super sprint finish in the end. Really, at that stage, McEwen should have won. It was too soon to launch, and in fact, Hushovd was simply brilliant. He tops and tails the Tour with a win at both ends.
Well, I told you a little bit earlier on, Phil, you have to be very careful with the sprint on the Champs-Élysées. The excitement, the nerves of the last day, being on one of the most beautiful avenues in the world. If you start the sprint too soon, you will always fail down towards the end. Thor Hushovd knew that. He got it just right.
So look at this once more now. McEwen was dreaming of a 3rd win in Paris, but it wasn't to be. Stuart O'Grady, far right of the picture, he also was there. It wasn't to be. This is the happy man here from Norway, Thor Hushovd. It's a long time since somebody's won the first prologue and then the last sprinter stage. Well, I'm not sure it's been done.
I think that's what to check in the books a little bit later on.
It's certainly been done stage 1 in the end, but I'm not sure that prologue time trial and a road race finish has ever been done in the Tour de France.
You better check 1979.
Hushovd lost his Tour de France for his race for the retention of the green jersey, of course, because he lost too many points, and he had that crash on day 2 of the Tour in the road races.
But look how much he won by. That was a monstrous beat.
Bernardi, this is going to be all of the sprinters together.
Well, right there in second position, Julian Dean. I cannot see the position of Thor Hushovd at all. I can see moving up there Jaroslav Popovic looking pretty good. A couple of riders from Quick Step, Tom Boonen moving up the main field now into a roundabout 8th position. On the Champs-Élysées, that's not bad. He's right on the wheel of Robbie Hunter.
He is indeed. He's trying to get over the top of Robbie Hunter here now, and Robbie Hunter and Tom Boonen are about 6th or 7th as they come across the pace. Place de la Concorde now, when they turn up for the finish, it's about 250 metres to the line. The sprinters are itching. Remember, Boonen has won here before, but this one is special. He needs the points. The teammates are swinging off now as they head onto the front of the... Now they can see the finish. Watch for the green jersey of Robbie Hunter. Contador also. This is the big lead out now. Bernardi sitting and waiting. Hushovd in third wheel. Zabel goes on the right of our picture. Robbie Hunter, a big effort on the left, head to head with Tom Boonen in green. But Thor Hushovd is still pushing on as Hunter tries desperately. They switch across the road. It looks like it was Bernardi from Hushovd, Zabel, Hunter on the line.
Well, that was a very confusing sprint for everybody. Tom Boonen was trying to come up through the middle. Let's not forget the yellow jersey, arms in the air. This is the kick, though, here. This is phenomenal move by Bernardi. Robbie Hunter on the far side was not going to get the victory at all as he charges up to the line. But Daniele Bernardi has got himself the kick ahead of everybody else. Hushovd on the inside is coming up, so too is Erik Zabel. But they're all too late to get the man from Italy. As he looks down one last time for confirmation, he's still got the power in those thighs as he lunges for the line, salutes the crowd, and it was a brilliantly timed win by this man. But Alberto Contador is the yellow jersey, is the winner of the 2007 Tour.
Oh, the relief now as Contador wins the Tour de France, and congratulations from Paulinho there of Portugal, his teammate on Discovery Channel. It's been a great result for them. This was a wonderful sprint. Hunter is on the red, out on his own. Bernardi hit the front after all of the teamwork by his Lamprey squad. Then came the rush of Thor Hushovd, who's won here before on the last day. They moved across the road, but there'll be no objections. They finish in an echelon. So it's Bernardi, Hushovd, Zabel, Hunter.
And then Boonen just getting across the line in 5th place. And that 5th place for Tom Boonen is enough to give him enough points to remain in the green jersey. He will win the green jersey of the 2007 Tour de France this year as well. What a confusion.
Quite organised enough yet, because now they've got to contain all of these attacks, which will keep on coming. There's always somebody who will try to break away, and it's Cofidis has gone again.
Sylvain Chavanel.
It is the most aggressive rider of the Tour de France who launches the attack at 3.2 kilometres to go, and they've got to chase him down straight away.
Isn't this funny? Team Quick Step are the team chasing him down, and where is Chavanel going to ride next year? Team Quick Step. But this is, Phil, not about friendship. This is about trying to win a stage of the Tour de France. Quick Step have not won anything out of the Tour de France this year, and they will give everything to try and get Chavanel. He hasn't got much of an advantage, but if they break now, he will go away to get the victory. But look at all the sprinters queuing up behind. Everybody wants the glory on this final day.
Carlos Sastre just won the Tour de France. We are inside 3 kilometres to go. If he falls now or gets a flat tyre, he will be given the same time as all of those cyclists. He can't be beaten now as he races the last 2.5 kilometres for home. All that remains to find out is, will this man win the stage? Can he hold off the peloton? They're working hard.
He's scrambling. This is at the back end of the main field. This is a problem here for Jens Voigt. He snapped his seat. His seat has disappeared, but it doesn't matter for Jens Voigt right now.
At least he'll also get the same time. Same rule applies across the board. So Jens Voigt is not all bad luck, but he can't take part in the finish. Here comes the drive up to Sylvain Chavanel, who finally this year got his stage win in the Tour de France, but it won't be today.
Right on the front now is Garmin Chipotle. 5th position is the black and white jersey of the Kiwi national champion Julian Dean. David Miller is up there into 2nd place. Dean goes around there right on the shoulders of Oscar Freire, and in the other darker green shorts there, of course, big Thor Hushovd is looking for the win. And, of course, Phil, let's not forget, he's won right here before.
Who are we going to see come out of the tunnel first as they race for the last time under that Ferris wheel? Garmin Chapokli it is. At one stage in the opening week for a while, they were the best team in this race. In the black there is Julian Dean. He's about 8 men down. He was going to try and finish this off for Garmin Chapokli, who are bringing all except one of their riders home. And this is a brilliant lead out by David Miller now.
Miller's got 1, 2, 3 riders from Quick-Step right onto his wheel there. The third Quick-Step rider is Gert Stegemann. He's better known as the lead-out man for Tom Bonen, but queuing up behind Phil, all of the other sprinters are there. Leonardo Duque is in there in the red shorts for Team Cofidis. Stefan Schumacher's not far away. There is the lead-out line for Thor Hushovd as well in the green.
Well, they're into the last 800 metres. This is for big Gert Stegemann, the lead-out, the man who won in Ghent last year when he beat Tom Bonen and his teammate as they race across the Champs-Élysées into the Champs-Élysées for the final time. It's the right flick, but as we've told you all along, if you go too soon, you will not win at the Tour de France stage because it's a long way up to the line.
It's an awful long way. Still, Stegemann is in second position. He's got Julian Dean moving up alongside him. Now's the moment to wait. If you've got it, you've got to kick now, and he's done it.
Well, look at this. Is this going to be the perfect end for Quick-Step? It's the best chance for Stegemann, but look at Gerard Cholik is coming, and on the outside is Oscar Freire at the green points. Cholik is closing so fast. Oh, and he's lost it on the line, but a great victory for Gert Stegemann. He has just redeemed the credibility of Quick-Step, and let's watch for the man in the middle. Is he going to give us away? Because Carlos Sastre has won the Tour de France. He searches for Stuart O'Grady because he owes an awful lot to that Australian.
A brilliant ride over those last few laps there, and you can see him puffing and blowing a bit. Celebration from all of Team CSC, and also I have to say, Phil, a little bit of celebration in Belgium too, because they wanted Gert Stegemann to get the victory here this afternoon, and Spain wanted this man to win as well. As Carlos Sastre has got the victory. Let's have a look at that sprint victory one more time. We've said that this was a hard man sprint finish. He was led out admirably there. Julian Dean right in his wheel. The big acceleration did come from Gerard Cholik, but I tell you what, the man who normally leads out Tom Bonen there has got the incredible gap.
Oh, yeah.
He's got time to look back over his shoulder there to say, right guys, you want to get the victory here this afternoon? Sorry, you'll have to try again next year. Oscar Freire up there in third. Robbie McEwen, I think, was up there for fourth.
Well, I'll tell you what, he also has got to thank David Miller for a brilliant lead out down that back straight. But there is the family of Carlos Sastre. He's just telling his children, your dad just won the Tour de France. Well, this is how it all happened. The face of Gert Stegemann. This was a very important victory. His team has done absolutely nothing in this Tour de France. He's redeemed himself here, and a big sigh of relief. He's also won on the Champs-Élysées.
And let's not forget, he leaves Team Quick-Step next year, Phil, to sign up for that very big new Russian squad, which is going to take over from Team Tinkoff. A great acceleration there coming from Cholik, but he could do nothing to outwit Gert Stegemann. You know, this is a special sprint here on the Champs-Élysées. You've got to get it to absolute perfection, but you've also got to have that big V8 turbo engine going and whistling, especially when you kick in the final few hundred meters.
There's a rider who won the Tour de France. He came so good in the mountains. He won at Alpe d'Huez. He's brought a memory to us that if you win at Alpe d'Huez and pull on the yellow jersey, history dictates you win the Tour de France in Paris. He's proved the point once again. As Carlos Sastre can enjoy himself tonight, so can this team, not just Gert Stegemann, because they've got himself a stage win. For Gert here, it is his 7th win of the year, and for sure, his stage result, Stegman's wins ahead of Gerard Cholik, Oscar Freire getting third, even more points for that green jersey. He's run away with it in the end. McEwen still not sprinting as well as ever. He's only fourth for Robbie. He's won here twice. Thor Hushovd, Paul, he's
kilometres. There's Farah on the wheel of Julian Dean. Dean is his lead-out man. Now it's up to David Miller on the front, and he knows how to turn this, but he's got to keep it going for at least 1.5 kilometres at this kind of speed to stop his sprinter from getting swamped.
They need David Miller and his famous long turns now, because they've got to the front maybe just a shade too early with only 3 riders, because the other one is fading fast now. 2 riders to take Tyler Farah to the line. They might run out of steam here, but Miller's gone in into the tunnel. He's going to come out in the daylight at the sharp end of the Tour de France.
But there were still 3 riders from Columbia HTC locked in a line. Hincapie, Renshaw and Mark Cavendish. Who's going to come out of the tunnel in first place? It's still Garmin Slipstream in the front row, but in the second row, it's the riders from Columbia HTC. And right at the back of that line, again, the man in the green jersey, Thor Hushovd.
Well, for once, they are giving Mark Cavendish a run for his money. They've got the tactics right, there's no doubt. Robin McEwen, who sadly isn't in the race this year, said, guys, if you don't break up the teamwork of Columbia, you'll never win. Here comes the counter-attack, 1 kilometre to go, and Hincapie has swung the line across to the other side. They've realised it. Julian Dean has taken Farah in there, and alongside him is the green jersey.
Second position is Mark Renshaw. Third position, Cavendish. Renshaw looking over his shoulder to see where Cavendish is. Hincapie has the power to take them right into the final bend, and that's what he's going to do. He wants to make sure that Cavendish doesn't get swamped, but there's another move. There's a challenge coming back there from Garmin Slipstream over on the inside.
Well, as they turn now to line up for the finish, look at the speed of the riders over the road. It was a very tight corner, that, as they line up. They can see the finish now. This is Mark Renshaw, the fastest lead-out man in the business, and there's the missile. He's locked onto his wheel now. This is going to be a formality. Win number 6 for Mark Cavendish. There's nobody can match the speed of this amazing kid. He has got the victory, and no British cyclist has ever been remotely close to winning 6 stages of the Tour de France. What an incredible result.
I'll tell you what, Phil, I don't think we need a photo for that one, because there was nobody else in the photo. That was almost a last-minute solo attack.
And as he wins, of course, in the field is Alberto Contador in yellow. He's safe, and the result will be as it was this morning. Contador will win, Lance Armstrong will finish in second, and Bradley Wiggins will finish the Tour de France in 4th place. But no doubt about the winner, it's Mark Cavendish, and he has done it for sure.
Just say thank you very much as well, though, to Mark Renshaw. Renshaw had no fear at all going round that corner as he accelerates and opened up the gap on everybody else in the main field there and allowed his man to go to the finish, and he never even looked back, this kid from the Isle of Man. What an incredible victory, and I've got a feeling that Mark Renshaw, Phil, held on to get himself second place.
But they just get easier and easier. I am not surprised that Mark Cavendish salutes the man there putting his arms in the air, because that is Mark Renshaw, the best lead-out man in the business. He could win stages for himself. Of course he could. That's the one he wanted, but let's not forget who's won the Tour de France here, and that is Alberto Contador, ahead of Andy Schleck and Lance Armstrong and Bradley.
You've got the teammates up alongside you to get you into the final corner of the Champs-Élysées in the right position. If you go around the corner on the Champs-Élysées in 10th, your chance of winning the stage has gone right out of the window.
Spectacular in the centre, but just off to the left of our picture now is Edward Boysenhagen. He's right in front, in fact, of Geraint Thomas, and there he is off to the left, and behind Geraint Thomas is Mark Cavendish, and there's no HTC boys around him now. We've got an attack, Sylvain Chabanel or Barredo?
It's Barredo. He has attacked so many times in the Tour. He's looked for victory, and all this does is create a bit of confusion for the sprinters, but not for Team Sky. They are practicing to become the lead-out train for their man, Eddie Bosenhagen. All the sprinters are right up there now, Phil. You can see right at the front end of the main field. Pataki needs to finish inside of the top 6 places. If he doesn't, and Cavendish wins the stage, then Cavendish is going to get himself the points jersey.
It is going to be a big end for the riders in the green jersey, but is it going to be a big end for Mark Cavendish or for Team Sky? They've got control of the front, but they had this when they came into Bordeaux. I said at the time it was an eclipse with the black jerseys on the front. There's only 2 of them there now, and one of them's got to win. This is where the race can be won, on this straight, as they go into the last kilometre.
Lancaster's up there looking for his man, and there's the big lead out now. There you can see the riders from Cervelo test team are trying to sort out their man from Norway. Inside of a kilometre to go. Thor Hushovd is right up there. He's got to get himself into the top 3, Phil, if he wants to win the green jersey again, as he did last year.
Julian Dean is being moved up on the right for Garmin Transitions now. Everybody wants an in on the last stage of the Tour de France. Hushovd is tucked in off to the left. You can't quite see him, and it looks as though they're taking command. Now we can see Hushovd as well. This is going to be the flick as they cross the Concorde.
Right now into the final two bends, a left-hand sweeper followed by the right-hand sweeper into the Champs-Élysées, and that's when you've got to be in second or third position. Everybody's right up there. Pataki's there, Hushoft is there, and so too is Mark Cavendish. Hushoft is up there. I have to say Pataki's in third position.
As they come up to the finish now, the lead out, and Hushoft, is he going to pull off the big surprise as Thor Hushoft breaks for the line? Now where is the Max Missile? There he goes, over the top. Somebody just launched him, and forget it, because Mark Cavendish is streets ahead of the Tour de France when it comes to a sprint finish. And Pataki comes over in second place. He will win the green jersey. Paul, it's as if somebody just pulls a catapult.
That is amazing, the speed that he's got, the turn of speed. He came from nowhere. Don't forget Alberto Contador, third victory in the Tour de France, 5 Grand Tour wins for the Spaniard. But let's go back to the sprint, Phil. You know, the sprints are probably the most exciting part of the sport for me. Hushoff did everything he could. He was right up there. Pataki got across the line ahead of him. And as they were full on, they had the pedal to the metal. They were going flat out. Then all of a sudden, bang, out of the group comes Mark Cavendish.
Two speeds in this race, one for Cavendish, one for the rest in the sprint. That's Mark Cavendish's fourth stage. It matches up with stage 5, 6, and so he makes it stage 18 and stage 20. There's no stopping Mark Cavendish, but he lost the green jersey in the first week. He'll tell you that immediately, because he fell off when he had a chance of winning. It was his fault he fell off in the sprint. So he's lost the green jersey, but he does what he does best. He wins stages of the Tour de France. But this is the man who has won the Tour de France, and he's won it by 39 seconds, the 5th closest finish in the history of the Tour de France.
Well, looking back to the finish there you can see the face of Julian Dean. Pataki did everything he could there. Thor Hushoff was ideally placed coming into that final corner there, Phil, to try and create the surprise. But nobody surprises this man. Yeah, we know, Mark, it's 5 for you this year. It was 6 last year, and it was 4 the year before, making a total tally of 15 individual stage wins in 3 years.
Well, he came so quickly. He wasn't in the great position he was in when he got to this point in the race last year, because he was right on the wheel of Mark Renshaw, and they crossed the line first and second. He had to use the other big sprinters. He was behind Pataki, who was behind Hushoff, who was being led out by his teammate, and his teammate's name there was, it was Brent Lancaster that was leading him out. And as Lancaster moved over, watch the move now. Pataki must have sensed him coming, so it's one-on-one, and I'm afraid nobody is in the same speedster league as Mark Cavendish. He just pulled away for his 4th win of this year's Tour de France, and there weren't many stages for the sprinters this year. Mark reckoned 6 of them, but he won 4.
Well, you know, he actually jumped at exactly the same time as Alessandro Pataki on that occasion, but he got the jump and his acceleration was so quick. Pataki did well, though, because Pataki had the team work for him. They paced him up to the corner, and he got the best he could out of this, but he will walk away as the winner of the green jersey points classification.
And that's very, very much a big target, and that's why he stayed in the Tour. And he won that green jersey with some fine riding on the days that counted for the great. He's about to leave the station.
22 years old, American TJ Van Garderen in first place, Danny Pate in second place, Peter Velets third. This is the big lead-out train they've been waiting for. They've got the big power, but they're in a difficult situation here, Phil, because they've got their own teammate, Lars, back at the front. However, I must believe that Mark Cavendish feels extremely confident that he can come up with the win this afternoon. Otherwise, they wouldn't chase down a teammate.
Well, Lars Bak is having to ride against his own team at the moment, knowing that they might eat him up. Cavendish is in a perfect position to the left of the bunch in the green jersey here. The team of Thor Hushoff dead centre in the white jersey. The blue helmet to Garmin Cervelo. They're trying to get Tyler Farrar up here, but there's always somebody willing to spoil the party. I can't see, it looks like 75 kilometers an hour there as they go down the side of the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah, a little bit bumpy as we go down the Champs-Élysées. We're pushing it up, we're touching 45 miles an hour. Swifty lost the wheel of Lars Bak now. This is a very strange finish now, because poor old HTC High Road, they've got the firepower, they know what they have to do, but they don't really want to chase down their own man.
Well, they're dangerous moments too for Cadel Evans, because they're bumping and barging the sprinters now, but the good news is we're inside 3 kilometers to go to the finish, and so there's no way now Cadel can lose the Tour de France. The 3 kilometer rule would apply if he were to crash now. He's won whatever happens as he heads out now on his last half lap of honour for Australia. Now all that Mark Cavendish wants to do is win the last stage, and that will also confirm his green jersey.
There's only one man at the front of this race now, and it's Mark Cavendish, his own teammate, as he sweeps across on the Champs-Élysées. Ben Swift is back in the peloton. Now this is going to be a rather interesting final 2.5 kilometres once they get themselves to the Rue de Rivoli.
Round the back, heading now for our last visit beneath the Garden of the Tuileries, as the peloton still tries to wrap this up. Desperate moments. Lars back, the first man to congratulate back if he were to win would be Mark Cavendish. Just reward for all the work he has done for Cavendish throughout 3 weeks of the Tour de France, but it's not going to happen. They're all together, led by the champion of Belgium, Philippe Gilbert.
Also the rider from Garmin in the blue helmet, that was Christian van der Velde, whipping up the pace. All of a sudden Lars back has been wiped away. Hushoft into second position, looking over his shoulder. He's looking to see if he can find the shape of his own team sprinter, Tyler Farrar. Taking a back seat now just for a little while. You've got Bernie Eisel, but behind Bernie Eisel you've got Matty Goss, you've got Mark Renshaw, then you've got Tony Martin in the mix somewhere, and the green jersey of Cavendish.
But
Cavendish
forget,
back now is in the driving seat.
There, leading out, Rojas is in a brilliant position now to get the drop on Cavendish. And if Rojas finishes a few places ahead of Cavendish, Cavendish will lose his green jersey. This is the last turn down under the gardens. Then when you come out, you're 1 and a bit kilometres from the line.
Now they go under this tunnel of the Louvre now for the last time. They'll take the left-hand bend, and then all of a sudden across the road there, Phil, they will start to see that red kite, which will indicate the final kilometre of the Tour de France 2011, and still they're waiting to pick up the pace. Team HTC High Road, they've been here before. They've taken Mark Cavendish to the victory on 2 occasions on this very street, on this very avenue, and they will wait until the last possible moment to open up their firepower. Here it comes now. This is Bernie Eisel.
This is not a usual finish for them, but it looks as though Eisel this time has got himself under control. Cavendish is trying to hold position at the back behind Mark Renshaw. 900 metres to go to the end of the Tour de France. Cavendish has won twice here before. Can he get the hat-trick as they change partners at the front?
Tony Martin now, the winner of the time trial yesterday, is right up into first position. Behind him is Matty Goss. Behind Matty Goss it's Renshaw. They've lined up the first 4 positions here as they come across the Place de la Concorde for the last time.
The world champion peels off. He's done his job for Tyler Farrar. So Hushoff drops out of it. Now, this is where the missile launched as we entered onto the Champs-Élysées 2 years ago when he won by a mile. It's a deja vu. It's just Cavendish now is in the third wheel. They've left it later because of the headwind that blows down this straight. Now Renshaw will go. Cavendish is going with him. Boysenhagen is trying to get on his wheel. He'll never be as fast as Mark Cavendish. Eyes down, because this one will be Mark Cavendish's third win. As try as they might, Mark Cavendish gets win number 3 of his in history on the Champs-Élysées. He gets his 5th stage win of the Tour de France, and as he just told us, he gets the green jersey as champion.
And congratulated there, Phil, by Andre Greipel. Looking down there, you can just see the yellow jersey. This is the win.
There is the man who's won the Tour de France. The first to congratulate Cadel Evans, the first Australian to win the Tour de France, and he has done it on an American team, and they're all over him. It's going to be a big night in Australia tonight. It's already in the middle of the night in Australia, but they're all up watching the first ever Australian to win the Tour de France.
No, that was a brilliant performance by the team. You know, sorry, that he's been in the right place all the time through this Tour, Phil. He's always assumed the responsibility when he had to. Let's not forget, it's a great night for Great Britain too, because we've got our first ever green jersey winner.
Mark Cavendish takes green, and he's right. You're right, Paul, the first UK rider to win that. Cadel Evans takes yellow. He's the fastest man, has gone round France to win the Maillot Jaune. This is how Cavendish did it, and let's not forget, it's an Australian who always delivers him to the finishing line. Mark Renshaw from Bathurst in New South Wales, and once he's clear, there's no way that man ever runs out of fuel.
No, that was a brilliant performance by Cavendish, and as I say, Phil, it's always the team. You cannot be a top sprinter in the world of cycling anymore unless you've got a well-drilled lead-out squad like that. Renshaw, they don't even talk. It's just a natural instinct. They know exactly what they have to do at the right time. There was a big attempt there to try and come back by Edvald Boasson-Hagen, but sorry, the Cav man, when he kicks into his overdrive, he really is something very, very special.
Tyler Farrar just behind Boasson-Hagen in the blue helmet. He's crossed the line in 4th place here. Mark Renshaw salutes the crowd, because he's the man who has once again delivered Mark Cavendish to the finishing line of a stage of the Tour de France. Paul, he's now won 20 stages. He's too short of the record of a sprinter, and he's done it in 4 attempts.
It really is remarkable there. It's all about the team. A great job of work. You know, when you look at the result, Phil, Mark Renshaw made that lead out. He did a victory salute himself because he was...
Wiggins has promised to try and lead Mark Cavendish to victory. Now, Mark Cavendish has never lost a finish on the Champs-Élysées. He's been here 3 times. He's won every time. I think there's a crash in the peloton. Somebody's gone down. Well, that is a real shame. 2 riders down there, one from AG2R, I think, and one from Lamprey.
Well, this is how dangerous this race is going to be, and everyone is taking risks. It looks as if that's Daniel right up in the front of the main field. Hondo just touching the wheel there of a rider in front of him, and he went down very, very hard indeed. It doesn't affect any of the riders sitting at the front end of the main field, but it just goes to exaggerate how dangerous the Tour de France can be on any kilometre of this 4,000 kilometre journey around France.
I have a feeling it was the sprinter of Team AG2R, Sebastian Eno, who went out there at that point. Mark Cavendish, though, moving safely up the near side now. His concentration. He is the fastest road finisher in the world. That's undisputable, but you've got to be in the right position to win. They are just about all together now, as Wiggins also moving into position, but Cavendish got to know that over his shoulder is Peter Sagan, who's won 3 stages of this Tour as well this time.
Not far away from the Cavendish-Sagan duo there is also Matty Goss, the Australian from Orica Green Edge, in the mix. In the front 15 positions is also André Greipel. The race radio now is saying Gruppo Compacto in Italian, which means the group is now back all together.
They're all together, but they're very, very stressed indeed. But Team Sky have organised themselves. They've been to be winner of the Tour de France, moves into 2nd place behind Michael Rogers. Edvard Boysenhagen is 3rd. Mark Cavendish is 4th. Peter Sagan, who will challenge him, is in the all-green jersey.
Well, in front of him is his teammate from Liquigas, that's Daniel Ossen. He's normally the lead-out man, the pilot fish for Peter Sagan when it comes down to these sprints. Matty Goss is in the middle of the mix there as well. On the left-hand side, you can start to see the organisation and the lead-out coming from Lotto Belisol.
And off to the left of our picture there is the man on Lotto, which is André Greipel here, while still it's Saxo Bank trying to deliver JJ Haido to the finishing line. We're going underground for the last time, and it'll be all action when they come out, because they'll be 1.5 kilometres from the finish.
In the first 5 places, I noticed in the blue helmet moving up there was the American sprinter Tyler Farrar. You've got to stay calm when you're a sprinter like this. You have to have confidence in the men around you, and that's what Mark Cavendish is doing right now. He's still locked onto the wheel of Bradley Wiggins and his teammate just in front of him, Edvald Boasson-Hagen, as we go past Norwegian corner.
You will see the bridge across the road. It's been waving throughout, but this time it really is 1 kilometre from the finish. And now Bradley Wiggins, the winner of the Tour de France, is moving Edvard Boasson-Hagen in front of Mark Cavendish. The Sky train is all set to roll at 1 kilometre to go.
Well, they're inside of 1 kilometre to go. It's a big battle to try and get into the slipstream of Mark Cavendish, this man who was an Olympic gold medalist in the individual pursuit. Bradley Wiggins is eating his heart out right now for his teammate behind him. He wants to pay back the world champion, but there's a lead out trying to come by there from Orica Green Edge, and that, of course, was Albacini. Now
well, as we go now is the line-up for the finish. It's Edvard Boasson-Hagen and it's in perfect position, but watch out, Sagan is on the offside as we're heading up towards the final turn. This is a brilliant lead-out by the champion of Norway on Team Sky. Boasson-Hagen, it's a perfect finish for Mark Cavendish. He's brought into the straight so far ahead. It's familiar, the missile is firing and he doesn't get past. Look at his face. He makes it look all too easy, but that is the story of the Tour de France. Has he... Yes, he's clear. Mark Cavendish gets 4 out of 4 wins in the last 4 years in Paris. This is the end of a perfect Tour de France for Great Britain. Sagan would have got 2nd there. The yellow jersey for Bradley Wiggins, the first ever to win for Great Britain. He shakes hands with Michael Rogers of Australia. Behind Wiggins is Chris Froome, who finishes 2nd. It just is all too perfect.
Amazing there. The congratulations coming from all quarters for this man, Bradley Wiggins. But I'll tell you one thing, Phil, this man is very, very special. This is Mark Cavendish here. He's got his full flight on when he comes up to the finishing line. and there's nobody else in the photo there. He puts 4 hands up to say 4 times I have been the winner here on the Champs-Élysées, and that extends his tally of victories on stages of the Tour de France to 23.
Unbelievable. 4 years in a row he has come up the most famous road and he has won. This time will be very special because he has the rainbow stripes as the reigning world champion. 4 fingers to the world.
But Phil, if you look at the guys behind him, that's a reference in the who's who of sprinting.
A brilliant lead out by the yellow jersey of the Tour de France as he now salutes his team here, which has been exceptional. And Bradley Wiggins is the winner of the Tour de France in the 99th edition. When he comes back next year, he'll have the unprecedented privilege for a British rider of starting with #1 on his back.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, the sprinters behind him, you see here, he goes from a long, long way out, Mark Cavendish. He loves this finishing straight. Right on his wheel there is Matty Goss. But watch Peter Sagan. Peter Sagan is a long way back. He was actually gapped there by Edvald Boasson-Hagen. He comes right the way back up to the wheel of the Australian. Look at him moving forward. That's then JJ Hayedo coming forward in the blue and yellow jersey. Sagan gets second, Matty Goss third, JJ Hayedo disappears. He doesn't come. Now there's a move coming forward. You've got the Cannondale riders of Sagan trying to confuse the issue, but you will not dissuade the men from Omega Pharma Quickstep from disorganizing their train. They've got to keep the pressure high. They've got to keep it stretched out into a long line so there isn't a grouping at the front end of the main field.
As Mark Cavendish's squad brings them out of the tunnel for the last time, Sagan is getting to mix up this. He's only got 1 teammate left, and the Sagan has gone onto the wheel of Mark Cavendish. Good choice as they go round Norwegian corner for the last time.
Well, I think it's good choice if you want to get into second place, because I don't think Sagan has got the kick to come round Mark Cavendish. This is Kwiatkowski, the man who has worn the leader's jersey in the Best Young Rider competition. He's burying himself right now. Now, the man right in front of Mark Cavendish there is Gert Stegmans. He's a great sprinter, 1,000 metres to go.
Gert Stegmans is the big man. He's the last lead-out man for Cavendish. Cavendish is hooked up, looking extremely determined. Watch out on the right, though. The third man in white down on the right is Marcel Kittel. They've clashed before all the way around France, particularly in Saint-Malo. It's 3 wins to Kittel so far, 2 to Mark Cavendish. And Sagan could spoil the party. He's the only green jersey left.
Kittel has the ideal position right now, and it's his teammates who are leading him right out now. Cavendish has got to take a few risks as he goes around this final corner. He's got himself there into 4th position, Mark Cavendish. He's right on the wheel of Marcel Kittel. This is not going to be the normal lead out for him.
As Kittel starts to move, Greipel is there. Cavendish is on Greipel's wheel. Remember that Cavendish has never been beaten here. Cavendish grits his teeth. He's on the outside of Greipel. I don't think he's going to get through this one as he comes up towards the line now, but he's kicking again and he hits the line. It is going to be desperately close, but they are saying he hasn't hit the line first.
Well, that was an unbelievable
looks like
sprint.
Marcel Kittel has lived a dream.
It's the man in the middle there in the white jersey. If you look at Kittel, it's the lunge for the line. You talk about the best.
Look at the bike of Cavendish all over the road.
The best 3 sprinters in the world, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and the man who gets it. Look at this. Cavendish never really got going here. He didn't have the right lead out that he needs. He's trying to battle himself up alongside Greipel. Greipel's in a massive gear closest to the camera there. As you can see the difference now. Kittel kicks again. He looks at the line. He holds it as hard as he can, but when they come up to the line there with that last lunge, there's no chance at all. Kittel is the fastest man.
But there is the winner of the Tour de France. Sky for the 2nd year have taken the winner to the line. Chris Froome, 2nd last year, is the winner of the Tour.
Swing around that final bend, and you're already riding at 60 kilometers an hour, about 38 miles an hour, and then you've got to take over. You see the confusion. There's Omega Pharma Quickstep. It's all going to be, Phil, a question of who can get the lead-out train under control. It's amazing. It's Tony Martin on the front now.
But watch the man in green down to the right of our camera, Peter Sagan. He's dodging wheels, he's freelancing as they call it, taking anybody he can get hold of to try and keep in a position to finally win a stage of this year's Tour de France. They are flying down the banks of the Seine right now, and now we're going underground, and after that they're going to see 1 kilometre to go.
Sweeping around, hopefully they get round the corner nice and safe, into the tunnel under the Jardin de Tuileries for the last time. Then there's another left-hand bend. They'll line up into the Rue de Rivoli.
Philly. They are storming along here, 60 kilometers an hour. It's going to be a very, very fast sprint. It's the sort of sprint that Marcel Kittel would really like this afternoon, but the question is, can his team get control back? The French of Europe car are already well organized, and Peter Sagan, Phil, is not too far away either in that slightly different colored green jersey.
All the sprints are there. Brian Cockard is there, Degenkolb is there, Kittel is there, Greipel is there, Sagan is watching and waiting, and there's a move from Katusha to bring Christoph up in the red as he comes up on the right now. There's a lead out started now for Mark Renshaw, but the boys from Giant Shimano, as they go under 1 kilometre to go, this is a free-for-all.
Well, it is. Nobody's got control right now. It's disappearing, while all of a sudden Giant Shimano in those black and white jerseys are trying to regain control. 4th place rider there moving around there is Marcel Kittel.
Have we ever seen a fight like this? What a great way to end the Tour de France. Totally unpredictable from the very first day when the finish in Harrogate. As we now come on to the finish here, Navadauskas is trying to get in on the act as well as we start to line up for the finish. Are the sprinters going to finish this one off, or are we going to see a steal on the line? Now they see it. This is all of the effort here as they make the ride towards the finish. Weiss is on there now. Tom Wielis is trying to lead him out. Now Navadauskas in the middle as Christoph is coming now. Christoph is winding this up. Is he going to make it 3 in a row? He's being challenged by Marcel Kittel. Kittel is coming. Kittel is going. Kittel has won for the 2nd year in a row. He has topped and tailed the Tour de France.
Well, you know what, Phil, he must have thought under a little bit. We're looking for the yellow jersey. There he is, a little bit further back. Not a worry for him this afternoon. Congratulations coming for his teammate. He's done it. He's going to cross the line as the winner of the 2014 Tour de France. And amazed, look at that, a bit of a sigh of relief.
It is. Now he knows he's the winner of the Tour de France, the Tour of Italy and the Tour of Spain.
That was an amazing sprint, I have to say, Phil. It looked as if all of a sudden the big man had got it wrong. There's Greipel over on the right-hand side. Right in the middle in the red and white is Christoph. But this man, he's got the power. Once he gets the big old gear rocking over, he didn't drag his body over the Alps and the Pyrenees not to win on the final day.
He most certainly did not, and he's topped and tailed the Tour de France for the 2nd year in succession. You see the move, Greipel came from a long way back, but just look at Kittel now, that final kick mattered. I wonder if the flat tyre to Christoph cost him half a length in the sprint. You'll never know the answer to that.
Yep, he did have a flat tyre out on the course, and he managed to chase his way back in. I wonder if the flat tyre to Luca Paolini was important as well, but let's not forget, this is the man who wins. Seems as if Lotto Soudal have lost control to Orica Green Edge, the Australian squad in the white jerseys there. Michael Matthews up towards the front. Over to the left-hand side, you've got Giant Alpecin in the black and white jerseys. They're looking after their man, John Degenkolb. They're all trying to get involved in this, but they've still got quite a long way to go. They've got the sweeping right-hand bend onto the Place de la Concorde, followed by the left-hand bend onto the Quai de Tuileries.
Luke Durbridge of Orica Green Edges just had a puncture when he would have been needed up here, so they've lost a strong lead-out man there now as everybody tries to see the front of the peloton. Mark Cavendish there on the shoulder of the man in green, Peter Sagan. Will they go head-to-head in the sprint? They should.
Look at Sagan. Very rarely do you see him with his hands are so close to the brakes. He's just about touching the brakes. This is the sweeping bend. Everybody around there nice and safely now. Last time they will come this side around the Place de la Concorde, but you've got to hold position. Sagan now up into about 7th or 8th position. He wants to go around the final corner, not very much further down than 4th position. There is no organised lead-out train currently.
Well, they're all breathing in there as they make the sweep now, because they go into the darkness of the tunnel. They'll come out in the shadow of Joan of Arc, and then they'll turn left and see the kilometre to go. They've got to get the position on the next left turn here, and it's the white-blue of the team of Arnaud Demar, the French sprinter, being brought to the fore.
Yeah, Arnaud Demar will be looking for this, but look at this, all chaos all over the road now, and everybody, because there is no big lead-out, feels that they've got a chance of creating the surprise, trying to jump out and surprise the sprinters at a moment like this.
You see Tiago Machado here from Portugal, who's trying to push his way to the front. Everybody's grabbing wheels here. There is no organised chain, because don't forget, Mark Cavendish lost his lead-out man Mark Renshaw, who's out of the race.
But now's the moment when, if you've got any firepower left and you've got a sprinter, you've got to keep yourself organised. You've got to stop your sprinter getting swamped from behind, because if you touch the brakes now, you slip down into 10th or 15th place. Your chance of a victory disappearing out of the window. As they go under the tunnel, who's going to come out in control?
Well, Greipel, Sagan, Cavendish are locked into each other's wheel in that order. It's around the Norwegian corner for the last time now.
It's Giant Alpecin, they've got control. John Degenkolb is a little bit further back, but his team will keep the pace nice and high to prevent him from getting complicated position going round that final corner. Rue de Rivoli for the last time. It's a very long straight lead out now, and they've got to keep position. Sagan is there in about 4th or 5th. There he is in the green with the green helmet. Looking behind him, you can see John Degenkolb is looking for the wheel of Peter Sagan.
And on the shoulder of Sagan is Andre Greipel. 1,000 metres to go. Arnaud Démare is being taken away on the right of our pitch. There's been a crash in the middle, and what a shame, but there's a rider down there. Trek rider has crashed. Touch of wheels right in the middle of the peloton. The back of the peloton was slowed down, but the race will go for the Place de la Concorde. It is Christophe trying to get a lead out here.
Yeah.
That looked like Degenkolb dropping away from the race.
Démare is fighting with Peter Sagan. Their heads are being exchanged as they come into the final corner. On Sagan's wheel, it's John Degenkolb.
Degenkolb is there. Démare is the rider in white. Cavendish is the low man in space there, trying to close the gap. A lot of ground to make up. 350 metres to go. Christophe, 18 wins this year, will never get a better chance at a stage win of the Tour as he starts to break for the line now. Alexander Christophe of Katusha is doing what Mark Cavendish did many years ago, but here comes Greipel. Is he the fastest sprinter of this year's Tour de France? And I think the answer is, as he hits the line, yes, he is. He has won his 4th stage of the Tour de France, and he's proved what we've all suspected all 3 weeks. He is the fastest man this year.
Well, he is, but everybody got the same time, and here is Chris Froome. Let's not forget, Phil, the winner of the Tour de France this year, born in Nairobi in Kenya, educated in South Africa, riding for Great Britain. He's won the Tour de France for a 2nd time.
And he becomes the first Englishman to do that. Our camera got whipped away in the diversion. But there was no reason for Chris Froome to take part in that. As you can see, it's a dangerous sprint. And Chris Froome being brought home by his Sky Riders in the backdrop. He swings into the home straight. All riders have the same time. This is Andre Greipel. He cannot believe it's his 10th historic stage win in the Tour de France.
Well, I did mention to you, Phil, a little bit earlier on that you had to wait to launch the sprint. Christophe started much too early. There is Froome.
Arm in arm with his team around him, Chris Froome wins the Tour de France.
Well, it's taken a long time since he crashed out of the Tour de France last year on stage 5, unable to continue with a fractured wrist and a broken hand. Chris Froome at that moment started to concentrate on getting himself ready for this year. He came into the month of June in good form, winning the Criterium de Dauphiné, started the Tour de France, and I have to say he pretty much locked it all in down towards the end of the first week. But Greipel here proved that and the big lunge there, Brian Coquard lifting his wheel off the ground, just trying to get himself across, but he could not beat Andre Greipel. Edvald Bosenhagen up there as well. He's in the middle for MTN Quebec. Over on the right-hand side, Mark Cavendish, I think that face tells it all. He just did not have what it took this afternoon. Arnaud Démare inside of the top 10 as well. Peter Sagan finishing it all off in the green jersey. But Peter Sagan will win the green jersey points competition for the 4th year in succession, proving to be the most consistent rider throughout all of these tours the last 4 years. But Greipel, well, Alexander Christophe started the sprint much too early, and Greipel felt, I mean, I can't imagine what amount of pain Andre Greipel was going through there, especially with his knee bandaged up the way it was. And great ride by Coquard. He really got close, and I think given a couple more years, we'll see Coquard a lot closer. Look at the power here.
It's the distance. It is such a difficult sprint. If you go out front when you make that right turn, 350 metres out, it's too far from the line. Difficult for the lead-out men to judge it, but he got it right.
He got it right. He knew what he had to do. Christophe started much too far out. We know Christophe is a powerful sprinter, but, you know, it's a long way. It's 350 meters, and if you start too early, you just find yourself fading down towards the end. Great win by Andre Greipel.
There's a gear at the front. Oh no, it's Orica Green Edge on the front here. They're so similar, those team jerseys.
Well, I can also spot moving to the front in second position there, Roman Kreuziger. He did a massive ride yesterday to try and move up in the overall standing. Chris Froome here, Phil, he's not enjoying this speed on the far side of the Champs-Élysées. He's trying everything he can just to stay in contact in the peloton. Such is the speed as we wind ourselves up for the sprint. But bear in mind, he's got a good buffer. He's got oh, there's a crash there on the right-hand side.
Well, what happened there? That was a very heavy fall, and it was an IAM cyclist who went down. Well, there's no rain out there. I don't know. I was looking down at the time of the fall, but he went down for sure as the race gets on at full bore.
Well, in fact, it's caused a little bit of a split in the main field. And bear in mind, Phil, Chris Froome was at the back of the main peloton when the crash happened. So he could see himself losing a little bit of time.
Well, let's see where Chris is. He's got plenty of time in hand. Once we get to 3 kilometres to go, Chris has won the Tour de France, because the time will end at that point for this big pack of riders if there is a problem such as a crash.
Well, there's another crash happened, and we're getting all of this information, Phil, not from the camera that we're looking through, but from Race Radio. A rider from Lotto Jumbo has also gone down. And Coquard, Brian Coquard has had a flat tyre, the Frenchman.
Brian Coquard, after all of this work by Thomas Voeckler in particular, has had a flat tyre 2.5 kilometres from the finish.
There he is.
Is there any justice? He won't lose any time. Do you think he cares? But now he just has to finish the race.
But the question now is, who survived? I can see the Norwegian flag just very close to the front, and that is Edvald Boasson-Hagen. I can see the green jersey of Peter Sagan. He's freestyling, if you like, just hanging around, swinging from wheel to wheel, looking for the fastest man to follow. It currently is sitting on the wheel of Michael Matthews from Orica Bike Exchange.
Everybody wants to win the last stage of the Tour de France. These boys are absolutely locked in now, as they're 1.8 kilometres from the finish. Jérôme Cousin, possible for the Cofidis team who have come through with Lotto. They're looking for Greipel in the white jersey, 5th in line, perfectly poised. Better check who's on his back wheel, Peter Sagan.
But he's got what he wants. He's got his perfect lead-out train. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4 riders from Lotto Soudal, and Greipel sitting in 5th as they come out of the tunnel for the last time.
Around the Norwegian corner, they'll be cheering for Christophe. Down the bottom road, the boys are doing well. The Lotto team are laying this on for the man in white. They'll launch the last moment when they have to. Marcel Kittel's team in blue are coming up on our right, and on the left, even the Dimension Data are getting involved for Boasson-Hagen. And Boasson-Hagen is right there.
And also, Phil, right in the middle in the green is Peter Sagan. You've got Dimension Data, that's Bernie Eisel. On Bernie Eisel's wheel, you can see moving up the Norwegian national champion, but you can also see Ethics Quickstep looking around. Where's Marcel Kittel? I'm looking for my man.
Well, Katusha, the boys with the K, are trying to lead out Alexander Kristoff, who told us before, you've got to be in the first 5 around the last corner to win this stage of the Tour de France. He is in a perfect position. He's going to line up for the finish in 2nd place, and locked onto his back wheel is Greipel, followed by Sagan. As they come up now, it's the last lead out to the line for Kristoff. Greipel is waiting. He's never lost. He's always won 1 stage in the Tour de France. Greipel is going to try and take on Alexander Kristoff. This is going to be the end of a perfect tour, unless... No, he doesn't. Greipel has done it. He completes another Tour de France where he's always won at least 1 stage, and this is his 2nd win on the Champs-Élysées.
Phil, as a sprinter, if you're only going to win one stage in the Tour de France, this is the one that you want to win. His team brought it all together on the final few kilometres. Let's not forget, as we look there at Andre Greipel, that Chris Froome will cross the line somewhere in there as the winner. Here he is, right at the back with all of his teammates up alongside him, the Tour de France winner.
For the first time in this year's Tour de France, he's pulled them off the front and put them on the back to celebrate victory in the Tour de France, the third time for Chris Froome. A British team winning the Tour de France for the fourth time in 5 years with an individual rider. Amazing.
Well, there it is, Phil, after 3 weeks of racing around France. Job done, but also job done for Andre Greipel. Oh, and I'll tell you what, did you see the skid at the back of Peter Sagan there, trying to get himself every last lit of power, trying to get it. This is the move. This is the move by Christophe in the red there. Greipel all of a sudden showing why he's still one of the greatest sprinters in the world. Coming back fast, fast, fast in the green jersey, but not quite fast enough. Second place for Peter Sagan. What a great finish to the final stage on the Champs-Élysées. Andre Greipel not getting it wrong this time. And of course, adding to that little record of his every year since 2011 that he's participated in the Tour de France, he's come away. Yes, well done, Andre, with a stage victory. Up there, Jürgen Rollins, congratulate him too, but the yellow jersey, the final yellow jersey now will go onto the shoulders of Chris Froome as he's escorted away for the final presentation. They'll roll out the podium right into the middle of the Champs-Élysées with a magnificent backdrop of the Arc de Triomphe stage, third Tour de France victory. And there is his wife, Michelle, and of course the newborn baby, right down to, well, not quite that newborn, but Froome there alongside Kellen as he looks down there, waited for 3 weeks for this moment. Magnificent image of the Louvre with a glass pyramid right down there in the middle, and as you can see the miniature of the Arc de Triomphe right the way through the middle. On the far side there, straight as you like, across the Place de la Concorde is the Avenue de Champs-Élysées, at the top end of which is the Arc de Triomphe, and on the far side, the Avenue de la Grande Armée. What a beautiful day in Paris here this afternoon. A final beautiful fitting. Here's a confirmation then of the final stage here. Andre Greipel ahead of Sagan, Christophe in third, Bosenhagen fourth, Mike
Christophe. Now, one of the rare moments you can improve your position as well along the banks of the sand before you turn left and sweep down into the tunnel. And you've now, if you're alone, no team, you've got to choose, you've got to make a decision. Who's the best team to follow? Congratulations to each other, the Germans, but at the front, Dimension Data, Scott Thwaites takes up the pace for Bosenhagen.
This is Pollitt and Burkhardt who were in that earlier breakaway. Scott Thwaites at the front, and now moving around the outside, it's the Trek Segafredo team trying to line things up. Pantano is coming forward to assist with the lead out. Rick Zabel, the next in line for Katusha.
Marco Haller behind him, and then Alexander Christophe in the red colours, big K on the back. On the left-hand side, Groenewegen brought to the front now. He's got one more teammate. Up the inside is Edwald Bosenhagen for Dimension Data. Down into the tunnel they go.
And for FDJ, Cimolai is there, the Italian sprinter. This at the back of the race. This is Matteo Bono.
Work has been done for these guys. They've either attacked or chased. They're done. They know their Tour de France is complete. Out of the tunnel into the left-hander, almost to the final kilometre. Katusha in control at the moment. Where is Lotto Soudal with Andre Greipel? The man who's won here twice needs this to resurrect his Tour.
And he's got some work to do. He's a fair way back. He's in around about 15th position. Rick Zabel is on the front. And there's Lars back again, trying to bring Greipel forward. Buhani with the black helmets.
1K to go, a lot of work to come from Lotto Soudal on the front. Rick Zabel, what a lead out. And Dylan Groenewegen in third position, ideal. Up the left go Katushev, Alexander Kristoff. Buani on the right, Edvard Bosenhagen. And here comes Greipel behind Bosenhagen. He's got Tony Gallopin in front of him.
Gallopin is trying to do the job. The battle for positions as Buhani boxes his way in and takes the wheel. No, he doesn't. He gets pushed aside.
Greipel on Bosenhagen. Bosenhagen on Kristoff. Kristoff behind. Dylan Groenewegen, who's in second. It's Rick Zabel brings them across the Place de la Concorde. Final corner. Groenewegen, Kristoff, Bosenhagen, Greipel.
Marco Haller at the front. Groenewegen is the first to go. Kristoff has his wheel, and then it is the other Norwegian with Edvald Bosenhagen. It's now Greipel who steps out, and he's making a charge for the line, but it's Groenewegen with his nose in front. Bosenhagen is challenging. Greipel is about to arrive. It's Groenewegen who gets there, but only just. We'll wait for the photo.
What a sprint by Dylan Groenewegen, the first man to go into a slight headwind breeze. He went so early. Greipel was coming. He dropped his head and dropped expletives. Greipel's missed it. Groenewegen.
Yes! There's no doubt Dylan Groenewegen believes he's got it, and a sprinter 99.9% of the time knows. Confirmation, it is Dylan Groenewegen.
Asking for his bike, Groenewegen. The explosion of happiness, but you saw the man to his right, and I'll tell that story in a moment. Chris Froome, the winner.
Chris Froome, there is no doubt about it, for a fourth time, as his wife and young son await the arrival of husband and dad, the four-time winner of the Tour de France, Chris Froome.
Well, Matt, a couple of days ago, and the soigneur that was standing there with Dylan Groenewegen, I was speaking to him about this last day and the chances of Groenewegen. He said, I worked in a team once with a guy who won the last stage as his first win in the Tour de France. He was referring to me, and he said, Groenewegen's going to do exactly the same thing this Sunday.
And that's what he's done. But Chris Froome, a moment of reflection for him, celebration and jubilation for Dylan Groenewegen.
It was a close finish in the end, and here's the replay from overhead. Groenewegen has gone. He's ridden. Kristoff out of the wheel. Bosenhagen's already in the wind. Here comes Andre Greipel, the big mover, out of the wheels. Too late, clear win, 3/4 of a length on the line. Andre Greipel just too far back, simply out of position. He looked to be in perfect position coming to the final corner. Obviously got shuffled, lost 2 positions. Gets there for second, Bosenhagen in third. But it's the Dutchman, former Dutch champion, Dylan Groenewegen. We've seen him suffer so much in this tour in the mountains, dragging himself over the mountains to make the time cut. And this is the moment where it all becomes worth it. Frustration for Greipel. Look at the happiness for number 163.
In the general classification, there are only 9 riders behind Dylan Groenewegen, but that is completely irrelevant because the scoreboard today, the result sheet, is Groenewegen in position number 1. Ahead of Greipel, Bosenhagen, Buhani, another 4th place finish, then Kristoff, then Bozic, Chimale, Perichon, and then Selig, followed by Benati. Perichon's been climbing in the breakaways with some of the best climbers, and now he has a top 10 finish on the Champs-Élysées.
A man of all terrain. Dylan Groenewegen, he went very early from the corner. Simply rode Alexander Kristoff out of the wheel, and at the same time, the other sprinters were forced to go wide and in the wind. It's to the advantage of Dylan Groenewegen, but so powerful. That's 350 metres from the corner. The camera was starting to look at Greipel, but it was too late. The Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman.
Today he
40th wheel at the moment.
A lot of energy to spend just to get to the front. They are stalking the green jersey. He's on the wheel of Daniel Oss. This is Matej Bodnar. Now it's Marcus Burkhardt. This is Jona Izagirre. This is Gorka Izagirre. Carsten
Christian Corrin.
Christian Corrin has just done the turn of pace. Sonny Colbrelli is slipping in behind the green jersey. Astana coming forward for Magnus Cort Nielsen.
Here comes that moment. They're going to be opposite the finish line. It's flat now. The breeze now, it's swung a little bit at the moment, but it's this race here. FDJ Groupama, they go now. They want to be to that corner, the right-hander of the Place de la Concorde first. They've made their run. Sagan's seen it look across. Os also having a look. When do they go across to join? Sagan looks like he's suffering. Christophe is following Arnaud Demar.
He's the rider in the white colours, the European champion, and Peter Sagan still looks calm and composed.
Here's the right-hander. All through cleanly.
It was Arthur Fischer leading the charge for Groupama FDJ, followed then by Guarneri. Next in line was Arnaud Demar. Perhaps that's a little too much too soon. We'll find out in a moment. UAE Emirates now at the front.
Late attack, Marco Marcado from UAE Team Emirates. They've got Alexander Christophe. Does he think he's leading out or he's on the attack? It looks more like a last-ditch attack. This is Geraint Thomas. Just a couple of kilometres to go, and he's won the Tour de France. Marcado off the front. Behind, nobody willing to take it up just yet and start the lead out. Yves Lampaert, Belgian champion. He follows a Bora Hansgrohe rider on the way across. This could be the springboard for a late attack for Lampaert.
It's Daniel Os going across. Os collects his Mercado, keeps on going.
Sagan's told him to attack.
He's given him some freedom, and now 4 riders on the front for Groupama FDJ. This could work out well for them with something to chase.
Lampaert's got to go over the top of Os and try and attack out of the tunnel because Groupama FDJ are going to shut it down, but Lampaert has a good opportunity here. Free ride in the wheel of Daniel Os. As they're going to come out of the tunnel, will it be up and over the top for the Belgian? Os still moving well. Lampaert looking, checking, still getting a free ride. Groupama FDJ for Demar. Sagan on his wheel.
Olivier Legac doing the chasing at the front.
Here goes Lampaert. He's leaving Os. The gap opening up. The Belgian champion's chosen his moment well. Groupama FDJ, they're seeing a big gap. He's won races like this before. It'll be very hard to peg back. Kilometre to go.
Underneath the kites, it's a handy lead for Lampaert. The Belgium national champion on the road. He was last year in the individual time trial, and the gap is working to his favour.
The gap is opening up. They are not catching him. He's extended. He's now holding. It's over to the next man in the line. Yves Lampaert is about to go into the Place de la Concorde. This is going to be extremely close. The peloton accelerating now. The gap still 100 metres for the Belgian champion.
He's about to make the right-hand turn. He'll see the finish line. He looks across his shoulder, and he won't like what he sees then, because it's now Trek Segafredo coming to the fronts. They're charging into position. It's Sturven chasing Yves Lampaert. His legs are tiring up. Jasper Sturven leading. Degenkolb now charging. Christophe comes through. Demar wants a piece of the action. It's Christophe. Degenkolb. Christophe. It's the Norwegian. The Viking is charging. It is Christophe. He gets there. 4 years on from his last win. Alexander Christophe, the European champion, is the champion of the Champs-Élysées. And the overall race winner, Geraint Thomas, with Froome all smiles alongside him.
What a brilliant finish. The attack by Lampaert was perfect, followed Os. They mowed him down. It was Degenkolb who went early, Laporte on the right. Arnaud Demar chose to go up the middle, not follow Christophe. Christophe hanging in, and this time he doesn't die inside of the line. He holds them off by a length. It's been a long time between Tour de France wins for the Norwegian, but he has taken arguably the biggest of wins that a sprinter can possibly take.
How much is jubilation? How much is relief? It's been a long time coming.
This will be so emotional for Alexander Christophe. He's finally got one. He's the current European champion. He's won 2 stages in the Tour before. That's 3 or 4 years ago. He's back, he persevered, he survived. He followed Degenkolb and they went head-to-head. 3 across the road, and Alexander Kristoff not looking at anybody else. Head down, quick peek up. Where do I make my throw? And he knew. He hung on. He had him by a length. Yves Lampaert, shake of the head. It was a really good try by the Belgian champion. Bossenhagen on the left with Laporte, but they're out of it. De Maar, he had a good run at it. Came out of the wheel of Degenkolb. Just didn't quite have the acceleration. Kristoff wins. It looked like Degenkolb hung on for second, with Arnaud De Maar in third. And further back down the road, riders sitting up. Ferrari, he knows that Kristoff has won. And Geraint Thomas, alongside Chris Froome, wins his first Tour de France.
Degenkolb in second, De Maar in third, Bosenhagen in fourth, Christophe Laporte or Richesi in fifth. It'll be close between those two, but for them, doesn't matter. They wanted to win.
This is what it's all about, and this, of course. Now the Australian former green jersey winner, just under 5 kilometres to go, and coming on the fastest section of the course where it's hardest to make a pass.
He's there with Roach, but Roach looked absolutely spent, yet the Irishman is still trying to take him around the outside. Back on board with Jose Gonçalves. And look at the way they're sweeping around the outside. That was Nicky's aunt going past. Reinhard Jensi van Rensburg was on the left-hand side of the screen, the South African from Dimension Data.
Mitchelton Scott getting themselves to the front. That will be for Matteo Trentin, the winner in gap. They're in second and third wheel. The Quick Step team, they are hovering around the front, waiting for their moment. Katusha on the right-hand side, bringing Debusseret.
They're making their way back down the Champs-Élysées. They'll look to their left. The finish line is just next to them, but they still have 5 kilometres remaining.
Mitchelton Scott hit the front. Durbridge, it's also Impey in third wheel, the South African champion, looking around for Matteo Trentin.
This is Benoit Cosnefroy, and you get a real appreciation for the bounce on the pavé. Durbridge, followed by Hepburn. Then it's Impey, then it is Matteo Trentin. They're in with a chance with Matteo Trentin.
Going past the finish line now, so they're only a matter of a couple of 100 metres away at 65 kilometres an hour from that right-hand turn onto the Place de la Concorde. Once those corners start, you need to be in a really good position because any extra accelerations from now are costly.
Number 21, Julian Alaphilippe, 5th overall, 15 days in yellow. Just in front of him is Casper Asgreen. Then Matteo Trentin is behind him. Then it is Nicky Asante. Sonny Colbrelli's not there yet. That's Ivan Garcia Cortina from Bahrain Merida.
If you don't have a real sprint train at your disposal, just ride as close to the front as you can get, ride off other teams and just keep pushing forwards and then wait for that train to come. A lot of riders will be waiting for the train of De Koning Quickstep and trying to get on it. Caleb Ewan, Dylan Groenewegen, there'll be a battle for that. And Mike Turnison, he is going to be so important for Groenewegen.
Look at the green jersey of Peter Sagan. It's strung out. He's sitting in almost 20th position. He looks to be aiming for the wheel of Viviani.
He was on the wheel of Viviani, who is quite a long way back. No, Viviani, yes, it was a long way back for Viviani.
But he's still got 3 teammates at the front. They're stringing it out.
But he's on the wheel of Richesi, Viviani, so you see him in the blue-green jersey behind him, about 20th position, but also getting past. They've still got a lot of work to do to come and find their teammates. A little bit unorganised.
They've got Morkov. They've got Michael Murku, then Max Richesi, then Viviani, and they're being pursued by Sagan.
And here they come up the inside. So Murku, he's trying to guide them through, a little bit separated. Now they're turning into that street and then downhill into the tunnel.
And he's still, Viviani, with Peter Sagan stalking his back wheel.
Groenewegen and Turnison next to them.
Caleb Ewan is on the wheel of Roger Kluger, and they're sitting in 10th position. There's Roger out of the saddle on the left-hand side of the screen.
De Koning Quickstep rider on the radio. They're calling, where are you? Give me a sign. They are not together. The sprint train is coming apart.
Onto the Rue de Rivoli, 1,500 metres remaining. It's then onto the Place de la Concorde with a tight chicane before they make the right-hand turn, and then it is the victory arch that they will see. Reinhard Janzi van Rensburg is there with the green helmet, leading out Bosenhagen. Alaphilippe swings off, and Trentin finds himself too far forward too soon.
They've told Alaphilippe to swing off because they were not in position. We're still looking for the whereabouts of Viviani. He's on Richesi, shoulder against Nicky Asani, pushes through. Viviani, I don't think he has the legs. He's gone backwards.
He's lost the wheel.
Is up the front and he's gone backwards.
Murku and Richesi keep looking over their shoulder for Viviani, but the Italian sprinter is not there. He's on the wheel of Andre Greipel.
Edouard Bosenhagen up and around 5th position as well. Caleb Ewan towards the front, just in front of Peter Sagan. He's in 7th, 8th wheel. He's on the wheel of Trentin.
They turn for home. It's Murku, followed by Richesi. Then Bonifacio with the red shoes. On his wheel, Bosenhagen getting ready to go early. Matteo Trentin is on the wheel. It's Bosenhagen who opens up. The Norwegians are starting to scream. Is it Eddie the Boss? He's got his nose in front. He's been close. Bonifacio, Richesi, the Argentinian. It's Caleb Ewan. It's a photo. No, it's not. It's one for the mantelpiece. It's Caleb Ewan. He makes it 3.
He has come from nowhere. We spoke about positioning out of the final corner, top 5, or you're probably out of it. One man has come from around 8th to win, Mark Cavendish. I think Caleb's come from 10th.
Brilliant win by Caleb Ewan. But the story of the day, the story of July, the story of this Tour de France belongs to the young Colombian, Egan Bernal.
What an incredible finish. It was completely disorganised. And how the emotion...
His mum, his girlfriend, his dad. Beautiful. There'll be pandemonium in Bogota. There's pandemonium amongst the Colombians in Paris. It's going to be a long night and a late morning.
Where's the party? Let's look at this sprint. Caleb Ewan, well, he's actually in the middle there. Had to stop pedaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 place. He follows Groenewegen. Groenewegen tracks him. He's coming. He chooses left. Ewan chooses right. Blasts around. And in the end, that is a clear win.
Groenewegen in second. We've spoken about them as the 2 fastest sprinters. Caleb Ewan has confirmed he is the fastest in the world.
They both made their choices. Groenewegen left, Caleb right, on the throw, but looking across, and he knows immediately that he's got it.
And for De Koning Quickstep, for the first time they made mistakes, Richesi ended up doing the sprints. Look at the difference between first and second. The expression on the face for Groenewegen in contrast to Ewan's.
Bosenhagen, he went long, but they tracked him down. Richesi, well, he already knew. Look at the speed differential before the line. Groenewegen knew, I'm beaten. Caleb's got me today.
Dylan didn't even throw to the line.
No,
he knew he was gone before.
He stopped pedaling in the last 5 or 6 metres. Brilliant.
What's it feel like? You've done it twice.
I'm speechless at the moment. Look at those speeds. Not your typical bunch sprint. 64 kilometres an hour, but into a head breeze on the Champs-Elysees, on the cobbles. And you know what? The speed doesn't matter. It's the position in which you hit the line. Caleb nearly a length in front of Groenewegen.
Soudal Lotto, early in the stage, you gave them a 9.5. You couldn't even find a 10 for Nadia Comaneci performance across at the Koenig Quickstep. What about Soudal Lotto now with yet another stage victory?
Our scores were based upon expectations coming into the Tour, what they wanted out of it. I gave them 9.5 because I wanted to keep something up my sleeve for this moment right now. 10 out of 10, Soudal Lotto. Caleb Ewan, 20 out of 10 for him personally.
Egan Bernal.
He is phenomenal. 22 years old, and he's just gone step by step to the very top of the cycling world.
Case Bold was managed by Sunweb because he's so young. They took him out of the race before they hit the high Alps. They didn't want to burn his engine. The winner of the race is younger than Case Bold. He's the youngest rider that has made it to Paris. He's 22 years of age.